Discover how a poor farmer revealed an incredible truth after unexpected fertility injustice. Jack Turner trudged through the fields, sun streaming down as he wiped sweat from his brow, calloused hands gripping the weathered hoe. At 42, he carried the weight of his family's legacy on his shoulders, a small-town farmer in the heart of rural America. His two spirited children, Charlie and Emily, raced through the rows of crops, laughter echoing like music in the air. Jack's heart swelled watching them, a reminder of everything worth fighting for, but trouble loomed, dark and palpable. The new corporation in town, promising prosperity, had turned into a hungry beast, monopolizing the very water that kept their crops alive. Jack felt his heart sink as he watched his once thriving farm begin to wither under the harsh reality of drought. The vibrant greens of corn and beans transformed into a parched canvas, echoing his deepening despair. In the worst moments, he could see Charlie gazing longingly at his friends in the brighter, corporate future, a future that felt like it came at the cost of their land and heart. As whispers of discontent spread like wildfire among the locals, Jack found solace in shared determination. He joined fellow farmers and veterans, creating a coalition of sorts, each heart heavy with the same burden, and yet, ignited with a flicker of hope. Together, they strategized how do they fight back against the corporate giant threatening to overshadow their humble way of life. Just when Jack felt a glimmer of camaraderie, tension brushed through his home. Charlie, hungry for success, warranted a painful clash with Jack's values. "Dad, you're stuck in the past," Charlie exploded one evening at the dinner table. Jack's heart clenched, the words were like knives. "Success isn't just about money, Charlie," Jack retorted, frustration knitting his brow. Their sparks flew like summer lightning, each argument deepening the chasm. Jack felt torn between guiding his son and clinging to the dream they both shared. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let us continue. Amidst all this chaos, Jack's resolve only hardened. He organized a public demonstration, rallying those who had stood by him. Yet, when Jack stood up in front of the town square, only a handful of faces turned up. The apathy stung more than the biting winds of winter. Heart heavy, despair began to creep in, but then nature intervened. The skies darkened, thunder rolled, and rain poured in sheets. As lightning cracked like a whip, it drenched the barren soil, washing away the cobwebs of doubt. Jack watched, breathless, as the land breathed once more. The soil they believed to be lifeless erupted with vibrant life. Hope surged like the first bloom of spring. Jack stood rooted in place, realization dawning. This storm had unearthed something remarkable. The earth beneath his feet wasn't just dirt, it was fertile ground, teeming with possibility, but could he rally the community to see it? Would Charlie understand the value of their roots, their traditions? As sunlight finally broke free from the clouds, illuminating their struggling farm, Jack felt a spark reignite. This could lead to something extraordinary, a revolution fueled by the very earth they thought was lost. Would they unite against the corporation, or would Jack have to face the battle alone? The storm had passed, but the real fight was just beginning, and Jack's journey was only at its precipice. As the sun began to set, casting golden rays across the revitalized fields, Jack felt a surge of determination. He could see the distant hills shrouded in shadow, yet there was promise in the air. He gathered his children close, navigating through the rows of newly green crops. They paused, breathless, absorbing the beauty of their land coming alive again. "Look at it, Dad!" Emily exclaimed, her brown hair fluttering in the soft breeze. "It's like everything's waking up." Her bright eyes sparkled with hope, rekindling the dream Jack fought for. Inspiration stirred in his heart. Maybe he could show them a different vision, one where the soil beneath their feet had power, resilience, and a story worth telling. "I know it's been hard, but this is a new beginning," Jack replied, trying to encapsulate all the emotions swelling inside him. "We can come back stronger. We will fight for what matters." A flicker of excitement grew in Charlie as the weight in his shoulders lifted just a bit. Jack felt grateful for that moment, the laughter of his children echoing in the twilight like a balm for his weary soul. However, the clouds of conflict still loomed in his heart. He could feel the tension nagging at him, a reminder of the clash with Charlie that still echoed through their little house. A conversation lingered in the back of his mind, seeking closure. "Charlie," he called as they headed home, pausing to face him. "Can we talk about what we argued about?" The young man hesitated, guilt washing over his features. "Dad, I think we just see things differently. I want to succeed, and that means moving forward, not living in the past." Jack nodded, taking a breath. He understood his son's longing for a bright future, but he couldn't shake the worry that it came at a cost. "I want you to succeed, too. But your success shouldn't mean giving up on who we are. We can integrate technology with what we know. Come restate our case to the community." Jack ventured, granting Charlie an opportunity to infuse his modern ideas into their traditional ways. The next day, Jack called a town meeting, inviting farmers, friends, and even the skeptics. Each face he saw was familiar, yet tinged with uncertainty about the corporate grip tightening around them. As Jack stood in front of the crowd under the warm afternoon sun, he felt their trepidation, but also their hope. He began by recounting that unexpected storm, how Mother Nature had poured life back into the land they feared was lost. "If we can harness this opportunity," he declared, "we can become a force that rivals the corporation and their greed. Together, we have the collective strength to forge our path." A ripple of conversation swelled through the crowd, punctuated by the nods of those who yearned for change. But as he scanned their faces, Jack saw the lingering doubts. Many still clung to the fear of failure, wondering if they could stand against a powerful adversary. "Let us not just defend our farms, let us show our community what is possible," he urged, his voice rising. "We can innovate, we can grow, but we need each other." Charlie watched at the back, brow furrowed, contemplating his father's words. He felt a shift inside, a desire to bridge the gap between past and future. Perhaps there was merit in blending the old with the new. As Jack concluded his speech, a chatter of questions erupted. The urgency of the moment surged, pregnant with possibility, a mix of fear and determination punctuating the air. In that moment, a flash of inspiration sparked within Charlie. The real battle was not just against the corporation, but within their community, and that would take everything they had. Would they come together to form a united front, or would Jack's family be left to confront the storm alone? As he looked to the horizon, Jack braced for whatever came next, knowing it would define their futures forever. With the town meeting buzzing in his mind, Jack could hardly sleep that night. Every creak of the old wooden house sent jolts of worry through him. He could see the faces of his friends and neighbors, faces that mirrored his own conflicts and fears, but also their hopes for something more. Morning light streamed through the window, illuminating the breakfast table where Charlie sat, lost in thought. The air was thick with unspoken words. Jack sensed that it was important to make today count. "You ready to share your ideas, son?" he probed gently, trying to break the tension. Charlie looked up, his brow furrowed. "I'm nervous, Dad. What if they don't listen?" "They will, if we speak from the heart," Jack reassured him, placing a hand on Charlie's shoulder. "You have something valuable to say." After breakfast, they headed back to the community hall, a simple building that held years of shared laughter and tears. As they stepped inside, Jack could sense the cautious energy vibrating around the room. People were gathering, glancing at each other, whispering their thoughts. Today felt different, like a pivotal moment in their fight. Jack took his seat in the front row and watched Charlie approach the podium. He was taller than last year, and there was a newfound confidence in his stance. For a moment, all eyes were on him, and the room fell silent. "Thank you for coming," Charlie began, his voice steady but soft. "I know there's a lot at stake. We can talk about our struggles, but I want to focus on what's possible. He glanced at his father, catching Jack's encouraging nod. We can merge modern farming techniques with our traditions. Together, we can create something sustainable that honors the land and our families. Questions arose like spring flowers. How would they manage the costs? How much change could they really handle? Jack felt a rising sense of hope. These people cared. They were willing to engage in a conversation. As the discussions went on, Charlie proposed a series of workshops where everyone could learn about innovative farming practices. Jack could see the spark of interest flickering in others. It wasn't just Charlie's words, it was the shared determination in that room. However, not everyone embraced the new ideas. A skeptical voice broke through, questioning the feasibility of combining tradition with technology. Jack knew that facing dissent was part of the battle, and he prepared to step in. Let us talk it through. The truth is, we've fought too long to let fear hold us down. Together, we can create a balance that works. A hush fell over the room as Charlie stepped forward. Look, I understand the doubts. We all want to safeguard our way of life. But what's the alternative? Do we wait for something to be taken from us? Or do we take control of our future? His plea struck a chord, and quiet murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd. In that moment, Jack saw the faces around him shift from uncertainty to a semblance of courage. What if? Echoed in the air. After hours of lively discussion, an unexpected breakthrough came when Hannah, well-respected farmer, voiced her support. If we can unite our knowledge, we can protect our heritage. I'm in. Her words acted as a catalyst, igniting a wave of consensus around the room. Charlie beamed, and Jack's heart swelled with pride. They were building something solidarity. As the meeting adjourned, a sense of urgency and commitment enveloped Jack. Maybe they really had a chance to fight back against the corporation, to reclaim their land and future. But as Jack looked at Charlie, he also recognized the burden that had just begun to rest upon their shoulders. They had ignited a flame in the community, but would it be enough? The question lingered: would they be able to sustain this momentum long enough to see real change? As they stepped outside into the cool air, the horizon felt both intimidating and full of possibility. And then, like thunder rolling in the distance, a voice from the back called out, "But what happens when the corporation retaliates?" Jack's heart sank. The fight was just beginning, and he wondered, were they truly prepared for the storm ahead? The sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows across the fields as Jack and Charlie walked out of the community hall. The air buzzed with a mix of hope and apprehension, the weight of their conversation settling heavily over them. The questions left unanswered, the looming threat from the corporation, gnawed at Jack's insides. He turned to Charlie, searching for answers in his son's eyes. Do you really think they'll come after us? Charlie's voice trembled slightly, his youthful confidence cracking beneath the pressure. Jack felt a knot tighten in his chest. They had stirred the pot, and now it seemed likely that someone would want to turn off the flame. I don't know, son, Jack replied, his voice low and steady. But we can't turn back now. They both understood the risk. It wasn't just a matter of farming techniques. It was their way of life, their futures, and all the blood, sweat, and tears that had been poured into these fields over generations. As they made their way through the familiar dirt path towards home, whispers of encouragement surrounded them. Neighbors approached, shaking hands and slapping backs, instilling an ember of courage back into Jack's heart. But every handshake felt simultaneously heavy and reassuring. Was this unity strong enough to withstand a storm? Later that evening, Jack gathered his family around the dinner table. The air was filled with the scent of roasted chicken and fresh vegetables, a comfort amidst uncertainty. Emily, his wife, studied Jack intently, lines of worry etched across her forehead. How did it go? She asked, with a hint of hope and skepticism in her tone. Better than I expected, but he hesitated, glancing at Charlie, who was now visibly distracted by everything swirling in his young mind. It's just the beginning. We've got support, but that alone won't protect us. The conversation flowed, ideas were proposed, and weapons for the future crafted in laughter and sharing. But Jack sensed a thorny tension underneath it all. The question that had been asked lingered, and even the lively chatter felt like a thin shell around their fears. Emily leaned closer, her expression softening. We just need to stay connected. You know those neighbors will fight for this. A smile cracked Jack's worried exterior for a moment. Everything felt manageable. Together, later that night, Charlie sat on the porch, eyes staring into the deepening gloom. Jack joined him, both enveloped in the silence of the evening. He could feel the unspoken concerns tumble between them like fallen leaves in the autumn wind. Dad, what if we really can't stop them? What if they take our land? Charlie whispered, his voice breaking. Jack's heart ached. We can't allow fear to guide us. Remember what you said today? What's the alternative? We can't let them win. Charlie nodded, but Jack could see the doubt still lingering like a fog. Jack wished he could wrap his son in a blanket of safety. The storm was coming, there was no denying that. But how could he reassure the boy who was learning to bear such a heavy weight? Then, just as the night shifted, a piercing light broke through the darkness. Jack's eyes snapped to the horizon, spotting a distant flicker headlights tearing through the shadows. Do you see that, Charlie? Yes, Charlie answered, confusion crossing his face. They're coming. Let us go see, Jack said, a mix of adrenaline and apprehension coursing through him. As they hurried down the driveway, adrenaline surged. Who could be driving this late? The uncertainty stirred deep inside, each heartbeat pounding louder than the last. When they reached the edge of the driveway, the vehicle drew closer. Jack squinted into the glare, trying to identify the approaching figures. What awaited them could change everything, but there was no turning back now. Whatever this was, they would face it together. Stay close, son, Jack warned, his protective instincts kicking in. As the truck slowed, he caught a glimpse of their older neighbor's face in the window, and just as he opened his mouth to call out, the driver revealed a clipboard with a bold title, Notice of Compliance. The air thickened with uncertainty as the driver stepped out, eyes flashing with determination. Jack's heart raced, stealing for what they were about to hear. Had the storm finally arrived? Jack, we need to talk. The words hung in the air, charged with the kind of tension that made Jack's skin prickle. He glanced at Charlie, whose eyes were wide, a blend of curiosity and fear swirling within them. Jack faced their neighbor, Bill, who looked uneasy but resolute. What's this about, Bill? Jack urged, leaning forward as he braced himself for what was next. Bill shifted nervously on his feet, the clipboard clutched tightly in his hands. I didn't want to come empty-handed. There's something you all need to know, and it's serious. They're targeting us, Jack. The corporation, they've ramped up their tactics. The world around Jack seemed to fade as he focused on Bill's words. Once again, he felt the knot in his chest tighten. What do you mean? With a sigh, Bill unrolled a large map, its creased edges betraying its many travels. They're implementing a new compliance policy, and it's aimed at farmers like us, the ones trying to go against the grain of their big chemicals and GMOs. If you don't comply, well, they can take your land. And they know we're organizing. Jack's mind raced. So it's not just our farming methods. It's us standing together. Exactly, Bill nodded. They aim to make us examples. They want us to bow down or risk losing everything. I've been gathering information, things I shouldn't have, but we can't let them push us around like this. Charlie's voice trembled as he asked, what can we do? The fear in his son's eyes was palpable, and Jack felt a wave of protectiveness wash over him. Bill pointed to the map, marking key locations. We need to protect what we have. Organize a rally. Show them we won't go down without a fight. Jack's heart raced. A rally like an assembly? To protest? Yes. Bill's voice rose with fervor. And we'll invite everyone, farmers, neighbors, even the community. Make them see we're not just a handful of lone voices. We're a whole community. Just then, Emily emerged from the house, her face drawn but determined, picking up on the urgency in the air. What's happening? We've got a fight on our hands, Jack said, his voice steadying. He turned to her, the weight of responsibility heavy, but ignited with the fire of purpose. We're organizing a rally. We need everyone together. You think it'll work? She asked, worry knitting her brow. Jack could feel the hope waver in her voice amidst the anxiety. It has to, he replied, locking eyes with her, a silent vow passing between them. We can't let fear take root in our hearts. Bill added, we'll get the word out. Posters, social media, we need to mobilize quickly. Jack felt the rush of determination swell within him. Let us do it. Let us gather our neighbors tonight. With a sense of urgency, Jack, Emily, and Charlie began brainstorming ideas, even as the dark clouds of doubt loomed in the back of Jack's mind. Would the community rally behind them? Would it be enough to protect their land and their way of life? As they discussed strategies and mapped out the night's plans, fear was mixed with excitement. The question burned in Jack's mind, would they succeed in their fight against the corporation, or was this just the beginning of their troubles? And just as they laid out the final details, a rumble of thunder echoed in the distance, a harsh reminder of the storm still brewing on the horizon. Jack glanced at Charlie and Bill, their faces lit by the flickering porch light, and wondered if, in the end, they could really unite against the mighty machine that threatened them. Would their bond be strong enough to weather the storm? The answer lay just ahead, in the uncertain light of dawn. As the sun dipped lower, casting long shadows across the yard, the trio gathered around the rickety picnic table on the porch. Jack's pulse quickened. They had only hours until dusk, and every moment counted. Let us divide up the tasks, he said, leaning forward as Charlie fidgeted anxiously. Emily, you take on the social media. Make sure our friends know what's at stake. Bill, can you manage the posters? We need to make sure they're eye-catching. Bill nodded tightly, his features etched with determination. I can print some tonight. We'll need something people can see from a distance. Jack looked at Charlie, who was shifting on his feet, his youthful face torn between admiration and concern. And what about me? Charlie asked, finally breaking his silence. You'll help me spread the word around the neighborhood, Jack replied, feeling a surge of pride. We have to make them understand. They'll listen to us, I promise. Suddenly, the sound of thunder cracked overhead, sending a jolt through the air. Charlie's eyes darted up, fear evident in them. What if it rains during the rally? Jack forced a smile, though the worry gnawed at him as well. We'll figure it out. It's about our message, not the weather. Right? Emily stepped closer, wrapping her arm around Charlie's shoulders. You'll see, honey. If we stand together, nothing can drown out our voices. With a newfound sense of purpose, they dispersed, each moving to their respective tasks. Jack felt the weight of the world on his shoulders, but, underneath, he carried the flickering flame of hope. The winds picked up, leaves rustled in a soft, foreboding symphony. He watched as people began to trickle out of their houses, drawn by the whispers of their plans. Neighbors who had once seemed isolated were beginning to come together. Hey, Jack! A voice called out. It was Susan from next door. What's this I hear about a rally? Jack took a step forward, his voice steady. We're standing against the corporation. They want to take our farms, but we won't let them. Join us. Her brow furrowed, Susan paused. Are you sure it's safe? They've got a lot of power. I know, he admitted, feeling the truth of his conviction eke through fear. But we have each other and our land. We have to fight back. Together. Will you come? Susan's expression softened, her resolve building. Count me in. As Jack continued to spread the word, people began to nod in agreement. More voices joined, discussions began to spark, and the once lonely sense of purpose blossomed, yet, Jack's mind drifted back to the map Bill had shown them. The marked locations held secrets that chilled him to the bone. What if their rally attracted unwanted attention? What if the corporation retaliated? That evening, they gathered in their living room. The air buzzed with excitement, and Jack glanced at Charlie, who was scribbling notes on his tablet. What if they send someone to intimidate us? Charlie asked suddenly, a shadow falling over his youthful enthusiasm. Jack's heart ached at the anxious tone in his son's voice. Then we stand firm. The door creaked open, and Emily entered, bearing a stack of printed flyers. It's done, Jack. The posters are ready. Everyone's talking about it, but before she could finish, another crack of thunder echoed, louder this time, and a chill ran through the room. Jack squeezed his son's shoulder, grounding him. We'll face whatever comes our way. Suddenly, a text chimed on Emily's phone. Her fingers flew across the screen, and as she read out loud, his heart sank. They've found out. We have to be careful. They're watching. Tension wrapped around them, tighter than ever before. Would they be able to draw the line they needed? Will the rally stand, or will fear win the night? Jack looked out the window, storm clouds swirling in the distance. He wondered, would this be the storm that broke them or the one that made them whole? The answers loomed like shadows, just out of reach. The wind moaned through the trees as the family gathered around the small kitchen table, their faces illuminated by the flickering light of a single overhead bulb. Jack could feel the weight of their uncertainty pressing down on him like a heavy blanket. The news Emily had shared now hung like a thick fog in the air. Someone was watching. Okay, let us talk about this, Jack said, trying to sound more confident than he felt. What do we know? Emily put her phone down, her brow wrinkled with worry. I overheard a couple of guys from the company saying they'd be monitoring us tonight. They believe we're a real threat. Charlie's eyes widened. What do they want? They want to silence us, Jack said, the firm edge in his voice surprising even him. But we won't let them. The atmosphere tightened around them. Jack's heart raced as thoughts of the rally filled his mind. How could he protect his family and their neighbors? Guilt washed over him for involving Charlie in this. He was just a kid. What if they show up? Charlie whispered, picking at the edge of the table. What do we do? Stay strong, Jack replied. We gather everyone together and make our voices heard. Fear can't drown us out if we stand united. Right. Emily added, her eyes glowing with determination. We're all in this together. Yet, insecurity still gnawed at Jack. They were just a small group against a corporation with money and power. He felt a wave of shame. What if their bravery led to violence? Outside, the skies darkened even more, a cloak of ominous clouds rolling in as the air grew thick with humidity. The storm felt indicative of the storm brewing within their community. People around the neighborhood wouldn't understand the resistance until it was too late. With renewed resolve, Jack stood and collected the flyers Emily had printed. We need to be strategic. We'll go door to door, remind them why we're fighting. They need to prioritize their future more than their fear. Charlie nodded slowly, determination gradually replacing his fear. I can help with that, he said, lifting his chin. I'll show them what's at stake. Good, Jack said, pride swelling in his chest. Let us stick together, no matter what. If they try to intimidate us, we show them we won't be cowed. As they moved to the door, another boom of thunder sounded, and the power flickered momentarily, turning their world into shadows before the light returned. Jack exhaled sharply, the tension bubbling just beneath the surface. Charlie would need more than just encouragement. He needed to know what it was like to be brave, but then, the energy shifted. A figure appeared outside, and Jack rushed to the window, heart hammering. It was Susan, standing on her porch with a look of concern etched into her expression. Jack! She shouted, urgent. They're sending someone. I saw a car parked down the street. Fear twisted in Jack's gut as he motioned to Emily and Charlie to stay back. "What do we do?" Charlie's voice trembled, and all at once, the weight of their fight felt heavier than ever. Jack took a deep breath. The storm rumbled on, but within him, he felt a flicker of something more powerful than fear: determination. "Let us go find out what they want." As they prepared to confront the unknown, Jack couldn't shake the feeling that this moment would change everything, the lines of their story now drawn, and a truth waiting to be uncovered. What awaited them beyond that door? Would they stand their ground, or would this be where everything crumbled? The air was electric as Jack pushed the door open, the hinges creaking like a warning. The storm outside continued to rumble, but the chaos in his heart felt louder. Emily and Charlie stood close behind him, sharing glances that spoke of fear and curiosity. "Stay close," Jack whispered, feeling the urgency rise within him. He stepped onto the porch, the damp wood cool underfoot. Outside, shadows lingered in the fading light. He squinted, searching the street, and caught sight of the car Susan had mentioned, a sleek black sedan parked awkwardly, almost hidden by the overhanging branches. "What do you think they want?" Emily murmured, clutching her jacket tightly around her. Jack hesitated, his mind racing. The idea of someone with authority assessing them, sizing them up as threats, made the pit in his stomach churn. "I don't know, but we can't let them intimidate us," he replied, taking a step forward. Just then, a figure emerged from the car, a man in a crisp suit, his presence striking against the backdrop of the stormy evening. He walked toward them with purpose, his expression unreadable. Jack held his breath, his heart pounding. "Jack," the man called out, his voice carrying through the gusts of wind. "We need to talk." The request was simple, yet it hung heavily in the air. "About what?" Jack felt his throat tighten. Was this a negotiation or a confrontation? The man stopped a few paces from the porch, his gaze flicking from Jack to Emily and Charlie. "You don't need to be afraid. I'm not here to cause trouble. I just want to discuss the rally." Jack's mind spun. "You expect us to believe that? There are forces at play that you might not fully understand." The man's tone shifted, a hint of urgency lacing his words. "You think you're just protecting your tiny community, but you're challenging something much bigger." Fear gnawed at Jack's resolve, sending a chill trembling down his spine. Part of him wanted to slam the door and shut this man out. But another part felt the pull of curiosity. The tension between the two sides of him surged. Should they stand their ground or entertain this conversation? "What do you mean?" Charlie asked, stepping up beside Jack, his youthful innocence breaking through the weight of the moment. "The company isn't just looking at you, they're looking to make an example. They believe that if they can crush this movement, they can silence dissent everywhere else," the man replied, his voice low but steady. "It's not just about you, it's about all of us who seek change." Charlie's eyes widened in shock, while Emily glanced at Jack, her expression a mix of fear and determination. They'd been fighting for their community, but now it felt like the stakes had risen exponentially. "What do you want from us?" Jack asked, feeling a sense of urgency course through him. "I don't want to interfere. I want to help," the man said, his intensity softening. "But that means you need to understand the risk involved. You have to be ready for what's coming." Jack's heart raced. The weight of the man's words collapsed over him like the darkness of the storm looming above. They were walking a dangerous line, and now they had an inkling of what they were up against. He looked at Emily and Charlie, searching for strength in their eyes. "Tell us how. What do we need to do?" Jack demanded, his voice steady, this feeling of determination rising to the surface. The man nodded, his expression shifting to one of cautious hope. "First, you need allies, the kind of people who can help amplify your message without fear." Just then, a sharp crack of lightning lit up the sky, as if heralding their decision. "Are you with us?" Jack asked, feeling the weight of the world resting on their shoulders. "Only if you're ready for what might come next," the man replied, glancing anxiously down the street as though he feared what lay in the shadows. Jack felt a swell of courage. They were at a crossroads, and the power of their resolve could ignite a fire. Yet, they knew the journey ahead would be fraught with uncertainty. With a deep breath, Jack stepped closer. No retreat. No surrender. Together we'll face this. But the man's response, lingering in the air, echoed louder than the thunder. Then prepare yourself. They won't hold back. As the winds howled and the storm raged on, Jack could only wonder, were they ready to face the tides of change? Would the truth set them free, or would it drown them? A threat loomed, and the real battle had just begun. What revelations would they uncover next? The man's words hung like a thunderclap in the stormy night. Jack felt the weight of his promise seep into his bones. Around him, he could sense Emily and Charlie's anticipation blending with a palpable fear. They were on the brink of something much bigger than themselves. Let us gather our thoughts indoors, Jack said, taking a step back toward the door. The voice in his mind urged caution, but the fire of conviction burned strong. They had to learn more, to understand this new reality they were thrust into. Once inside, the dim glow from a lamp cast flickering light on their worried faces. Jack shut the door behind them, the thud resonating in the silence. What do we do now? He asked, locking eyes with the man who had invaded their lives. First, we need to find allies, the man who hadn't yet introduced himself said, pacing the small living room. People who care about the rally, who understand the fight ahead. You need to demonstrate that you're more than just a local concern, you're part of something much larger. He stopped, leveling his gaze at each of them. And we need to act quickly. Trust me, those decisions we make now could change everything. But who can we trust? Emily asked, her voice edged with worry. How do we even start? Jack thought of the townsfolk, the ones who shared their worries and woes, the friends who stood beside them at the last meeting. He couldn't shake the feeling that this was not just about their community, it was about the future. They needed to rally the frustrated, the ones disillusioned by the empty promises of the company. There's Laura at the co-op, Jack proposed. And Joseph from the church. They both know the community well, and they have their ear to the ground. Good choices, the man nodded, a hint of approval in his eyes. But you need more than just support. You'll require a strategy. Jack glanced at Charlie, who was listening intently, absorbing every word. The weight of the moment settled on Jack's shoulders as he realized how crucial it was to involve the younger generation. We'll need to plan our message carefully. If we can show them that we're united, that we won't back down, it could inspire others. Charlie shifted closer to Jack, fueling him with resolve. What if we documented everything? The rallies, the opposition we face. We could create videos that show the real impact of their actions on us, on families, on the land. We could go viral. Emily's eyes shimmered with excitement, and for a moment, the fear subsided. The vision of their collective strength ignited an unshakable determination within Jack. Yes. The man exclaimed, a newfound energy radiating off him. That could shift the narrative. But it needs to be authentic. Whoever participates must believe in your cause. No facade. The intensity in the man's voice was infectious. Jack could feel his heartbeat sync with the urgency around them. We'll have to meet tonight, he instructed, thinking of the town square lit by flickering streetlights. Just as they started sketching out their plan, a deafening crash of thunder rattled the windows. It sliced through their excitement like a knife, reminding them how precarious their new reality felt. What if they're already working against us? Emily asked, biting her lip. What if? Hey, Jack interjected softly. We will prepare. We're doing this together, right? No one fights alone. They nodded, their gazes steadying. Jack felt a surge of hope amidst the chaos. Yes, they were on the brink of a monumental shift. Meet me at the square in an hour, Jack urged, raising his voice to break through the tension. We gather the troops, we share our plan, and we ignite that spark. As they each prepared to leave, the man paused at the door, a serious look returning to his face. Be careful. Shadows grow long in dark times. Watch your back. They might already be aware. With that warning ringing in their ears, Jack felt a wave of apprehension wash over him. Would they be able to light the flame that began the change, or would they become targets in this dangerous game? As he stepped outside, the storm began to ease, but the battle ahead loomed larger than life. He couldn't shake the feeling that everything was changing. And soon, they would find out exactly how powerful their voices could be or how dangerous the truth could become. What awaited them in the vast unknown? The town square buzzed like a beehive as Jack gathered with his family, neighbors, and supporters, the weight of their cause pressing against every heart. The air crackled with anticipation. Tonight was crucial. They had rallied the community, but uncertainty lingered like the storm clouds overhead. Jack stood before the crowd, taking a moment to absorb the faces around him, nervous, hopeful, determined. A mix of ages, experiences, and backgrounds, all drawn together for one reason. They wanted to protect what was theirs. Thank you all for coming, Jack began, his voice steady despite the storm brewing within him. We stand together tonight not just for our farms, but for our future. As he spoke, he could feel energy radiating from the crowd. They were buzzing, hearts beating in unison, a powerful reminder that their collective strength had the potential to move mountains. Charlie stood nearby, clutching his tablet, ready to document the evening. Beside him, Emily held a homemade banner that read "United Against Greed." Jack felt his heart swell with pride at their resilience. He needed to make them understand the stakes, and that every word could sway a hesitant heart. Tonight's not just about protesting, Jack continued, passion igniting his words. It's about reclaiming our identity. Our community is everything we've built together. This land isn't just dirt, it's our legacy. A ripple of agreement surged through the crowd, and Jack saw nods of determination. For every person questioning their stand, 10 more seemed to rise in conviction. If we don't unite now, we risk losing everything we cherish. We all have a voice, and they're afraid of our unity. As the crowd began to chant, "United we stand. Together we fight." Jack felt a wave of motivation wash over him. The anxiety he carried for weeks melted away, replaced by the resolve to stand firm for those he loved. Then the man from the black sedan stepped forward, a reassuring presence in the crowd. "We have the power to dismantle their hold on our lives, to ignite change beyond this town," he called, drawing the crowd's attention. "But first, we need to document our fight, share our truths." Charlie nodded vigorously, buzzing with excitement. "We'll share our stories, show what they've done to us. We can create videos that will resonate, let people see the real faces behind the fight." "Exactly," the man replied, his tone matching Charlie's enthusiasm. "We show the world not just what's being taken, but what we're willing to fight for." The energy in the square reached a crescendo, voices unified, hearts racing. Jack took a moment, scanning the faces of friends and allies. It was a tapestry of hope and determination. Suddenly, raindrops began to patter on the ground, soft and gentle at first, but quickly turning into a downpour. People hurried to shield themselves with jackets, umbrellas coming out like flowers blooming in spring, but no one was ready to leave. Instead, they congregated closer, huddling together under the burgeoning storm, defiance shining brightly. "Let the rain remind us of our strength," Jack bellowed over the downpour, a glimmer of mischief dancing in his eyes. "Just like the storm that revived our fields, the truth will bring us life. We are unyielding." Cheers erupted, echoing from the buildings and bouncing among the clouds. Glow inside. Together, they had ignited something monumental. What lay ahead remained uncertain, but they had taken the first step, and a force greater than any corporation surged through them. "Tomorrow, we'll wake up ready to fight," Jack declared as the crowd roared back, their voices rising above the still falling rain. And as they cheered, a ray of sunlight broke through the clouds, a symbol of the dawn that awaited them, a new beginning. "Leave fear behind. This is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now to never miss another story of transformation. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us grow. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this incredible ending. How do you fight for what you believe in? And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this journey. Your support matters now more than ever.